Hello everyone, welcome to lesson 7 of the Circle of Life. So we're continuing on our plant theme today, and we are going to be discussing why are leaves such good food factories, okay? So it's going back to some things we talked about in the previous lesson when I asked what is the definition of an adaptation? And then once you've had a think about that, remember, don't bother writing it down, save that for the written phase at the end. Have a look at this leaf and just start having a quick think. What different ways do you think this leaf is adapted to its job? So we talked about the polar bears and the camels, the way they're adapted. Leaves are adapted too. By looking at this, how do you think it's adapted? Okay, so have a think about those questions and pause this slide now. Okay, so the definition of an adaptation is a characteristic an individual has which benefits it in its environment. Okay, so something that makes it good at surviving in its environment. Okay, so that second question, when I said to start having to think about what adaptations this leaf has, we're going to discuss that in these lessons. Okay, so let's see if you managed to get any of the ones that we're going to be talking about now. So if we have a look at this leaf, and most leaves, to be honest, they are normally large and flat, okay? And this gives them a large surface area, okay? So they're big, they're flat, which means that the area of the surface is really big. This means that because they've got this large surface area, they can absorb lots of sunlight, okay? So imagine if this leaf was all folded up, it's going to catch less of the sun's rays than the fact that it's got this large surface area, okay? And because it can catch more of the sun's rays, can absorb more of that sunlight, that's better for photosynthesis, because remember that sunlight is needed for that process of photosynthesis that we talked about last lesson. Okay. So leaves are also thin, okay? So this is beneficial for the plant because remember last lesson when we were talking about photosynthesis, we were saying that the carbon dioxide needed for photosynthesis gets in through the leaf, okay? So the fact that the leaf is thin means that the carbon dioxide doesn't have very far to travel when it gets into the leaf to get where it needs to be for photosynthesis to happen, okay? So it means that there's a much shorter distance for the gas to travel when it gets into the leaf. So the fact that it's thin is really beneficial. Okay, so far it's got a large surface area to catch all of those sun's rays, and it's nice and thin so that when the carbon dioxide gets into the leaf, it doesn't have to travel very far to get where it needs to go. Okay. So if we have a look at the structure of the leaf, you can see here it's got this midrib down the middle, okay? That supports the leaf. So this midrib is normally the firmest part of the leaf. If you pick one up from your garden, okay, that's the most defined part of the leaf. It supports it, okay? It keeps it nice and open to maintain that large surface area. And it stops it from crumpling up, okay? So it keeps it nice and firm to keep its shape. And coming off that midrib, they have veins, okay? So just like humans have veins to transport the blood around our body, the veins in the leaf are needed to get the water, okay, that's needed in photosynthesis to all parts of the leaf, okay? So again, these veins are transporting something, and that something is water, which is needed for photosynthesis. So we've discussed 4 different things there. We've got the large surface area, the fact that it's nice and thin. It's got this midrib that supports the leaf, and it's got the veins which transport the water to where it needs to be for photosynthesis to happen. Okay. So Really quick recap, so you can talk to anyone that's in the room, think about it in your head, you don't need to write it down, okay? What are the adaptations we've discussed so far? So have a think about that and pause this slide now. Right, okay, let's see how we did. So you should have said that they're flat or have a large surface area. They have a midrib, they've got veins, and they're thin. Okay, so flat and large surface area, okay, are interchangeable. They've got that midrib going down the centre for structure. They have the veins to transport the water where it needs to be for photosynthesis, and they're thin so that the carbon dioxide doesn't need to travel very far once it gets into the leaf. So those are the ones that you can obviously see. Let's have a look at what's going on inside the leaf now, okay? So if you cut a leaf open, this is what a cross section would look like. Obviously in a leaf, this is really, really thin, okay? So this is the top of the leaf here, and this is the bottom of the leaf here, okay? So this top layer here, this top layer of cells, is called the palisade layer, and that's because it's made up of a type of plant cell called the palisade cell. Okay. Now, the palisade cell is adapted for its job because it's found at the top of the leaf, which means, so the top of the leaf is always the one facing the sun. Okay, so that means that the top of the leaf always gets the most sunlight. So the fact that they're at the top of the leaf means they get lots of sunlight for photosynthesis. Because they get the most sunlight of any of the plant cells within the leaf, they also have lots of chloroplasts, okay? And we've said before that these chloroplasts have chlorophyll in them, which is the chemical where photosynthesis happens. So the fact that they've got lots and lots of these chloroplasts means that they're absorbing more sunlight because they're at the top of the leaf. They've got lots of chloroplasts to make use of that sunlight, and that means that they photosynthesize as much as possible, okay? It makes it really efficient because it absorbs the most sunlight, and then it can photosynthesize more because it's got all of these chloroplasts, okay? So it's making use of all that sunlight it's absorbing. So we've talked about the palisade cells. There's also another type of a structure within the leaf. So at the bottom of the leaf, we've got these holes called the stomata, okay? So you can see them here, there's a space in the leaf. And actually, if you go out and get a leaf and put some clear nail polish at the bottom of it and peel the nail polish off, you can actually see the imprints of the holes in the nail polish, okay? So you can actually see these holes. So the holes in the bottom layer are called the stomata, and these are the holes that let the carbon dioxide in. So earlier when we were talking about how the fact that these leaves are thin means the carbon dioxide can move across them in a shorter space of time. Well, the carbon dioxide for photosynthesis, most of the photosynthesis we've said happens in this top layer here. So the fact that they're thin means the carbon dioxide goes in through the stomata, diffuses, okay, so moves to this top palisade layer, okay? So the holes in the bottom, the stomata, they let carbon dioxide into the leaf, and they let the oxygen that's made, which is a product of photosynthesis, it lets it out of the leaf, okay? So we talked about two further adaptations, the fact that they've got these palisade cells with lots of chloroplasts that are found at the top of the leaf, and the fact that they've got these holes in the bottom of the leaf which allow carbon dioxide in for photosynthesis and let oxygen back out, which is a product of photosynthesis. Okay, so you can see that pause symbol again. What I want you to do is, when I say pause the slide, have a read through, decide which of these is false. Okay, so if you pause the slide now. Okay, let's see how we did. So what you should have had as the false answer is A. Okay, so if we have a look at the answers that were correct and explain why they're correct, and then we'll see why this one was false. So having a midrib gives the leaf support and strength. Well, you can actually feel, if you pick up a leaf, you can feel that that's the firmest part of the leaf. Okay, so that's true. C, having stomata allows gases into and out of the leaf. Remember, stomata are the little holes in the bottom of the leaf. So C is right, those holes let the gases in and out. Having veins allows water needed for photosynthesis to be carried throughout the leaf. That's true, okay? So I compared it to veins in a human. They carry around blood. The veins in the leaf carry around water, and that water is needed for photosynthesis, okay? So let's have a look at A, which was the false answer. A large surface area means that there is a smaller diffusion distance for gases. So the large surface area means that the leaf gets as much sunlight as possible, okay? So the smaller diffusion distance actually comes from the fact that the leaf is thin. Remember, the gas goes in at the bottom, the underneath of the leaf, and has to get to the top layer of the leaf, okay? So it's the fact that it's thin that means it's easier for diffusion to happen. Okay, so well done if you got that right. If not, I hope my explanations have explained fully why A is the false answer. If you're a little bit confused, you can always go back and watch the previous slides, okay? So, quick recap, what are the adaptations of the leaf? So we talked about 4 in the beginning, and then we've added in another 2. Okay, so what are the adaptations? So have a think. You can talk to it, about it to someone else in the room. So if you pause the slide now. Okay, let's see how we did. So you should have had that they're thin. They've got these palisade cells at the top of the leaf. They've got stomata, which are the holes in the bottom of the leaf. They've got veins for transporting water. They've got the midrib, okay, which gives the leaf support. And then they've got this large surface area, which they get from the leaf being flat, okay? So let's have a look at the writing phase. So describe the main physical features of the leaf. That's what we've just recapped. Explain the main features of the palisade cell. Explain how a leaf is adapted for photosynthesis, including its shape, stomata, and palisade cells. Explain the differences between a palisade cell and a root hair cell. Okay, so we've talked about root hair cells in the previous cells topic. So have a think back. What were the features of the root hair cell? Okay. So generally we have 10-15 minutes for this. So if you give yourself that much time and pause this slide now. Okay, so let's see how we've done. So make sure you're adding in any extra detail and correcting your answers. So the main physical features of the leaf are that they've got the large surface area, or you could have said that they're flat. They've got the stomata, the palisade cells, which contain chlorophyll. They're thin, they have veins and a midrib, okay? So lots of little things to remember for working towards there. Explain the main features of a palisade cell. So the main features of the palisade cell is that they're found on top of the leaf and that they have lots of chloroplasts because they need to be efficient at photosynthesis, okay? Then working beyond. So the main adaptations of the leaf for photosynthesis, and it specifies here that you need to include shape, stomata, and the palisade cells. So with regards to shape, they're thin, they're flat, they have the midrib and veins, okay? They also have a stomata and palisade cells. So these are adaptations because the fact they're thin means that carbon dioxide has a shorter distance to travel to get into the leaf, okay? Or to get where they need to be in the leaf, actually. The fact that they're flat means that the surface area is increased to take in as much sunlight as possible. The midrib gives the leaf strength and structure, and the veins allow water to be transported throughout the leaf, which is needed for photosynthesis. Then having the stomata is an adaptation, as this allows carbon dioxide to enter the leaf and oxygen to leave. Having palisade cells, which contains lots of chloroplasts on the top layer of the leaf, means it will absorb the most possible sunlight for photosynthesis. Okay, so there's a lot of writing there. Well done if you got all of those. If you missed out any of the points, just add them in some green pen now. So, palisade cell and root hair cells. So if we think back to that last cells topic, okay, root hair cells are found on the root, under the ground, so they don't have any chloroplasts, okay? So the differences between the palisade cell and root hair cell. So palisade cell has an elongated rectangular shape which contains lots of chloroplasts. This is because the palisade cells are found at the top of the leaf where sunlight is absorbed and where photosynthesis is carried out. Root hair cells are found in the roots and so aren't used for photosynthesis. For this reason, they don't have chloroplasts. They have a shape that's long and thin, okay, as this increases the surface area of the roots for absorbing water. Okay, so if you struggled a bit with working beyond plus, I know it's been a long time since we've done that cells topic. It's just in adding any extra details now, but it's really good for revision of that previous topic. Okay. So if you then write your sentence, so today I achieved, remember it's the word, not the colour or the level. Today I achieved because I could, and make sure you're putting that reason down. And remember to go on to Show My Homework and do the 10-question quiz on this lesson, okay? Because that's how we're tracking everyone's engagement and things like that. So it's really important you go and you do that lesson, okay? You'll hear from me for the next lesson. Hope everyone is safe and well. Fantastic job on this lesson. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'm sure you all did brilliantly. Okay, thank you, Year 7.